Welcome everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the World Green Energy Symposium 2015 thus far. We are going to be talking about transportation solutions, filming this for the folks and fans back home and around the world. We are going to be discussing more along the line of the retrofit technology market, which there has always been this disconnect of what that really is. You hear about these kinds of things and, oh, I've seen those things before. And that may be true, but one of the things that has been overlooked is the way that these products have been actually brought to market and how public policy has been aligned with these types of technologies. So we're going to be getting into that as an example of my own company, which is Extreme Energy Solutions. Most of the well-purported technology you hear about in the public sector is either propane, natural gas, hydrogen, or plug-in vehicles. Now, all these are viable alternatives to the current transportation infrastructure that we use today. However, they have a high hidden cost, and that is the new infrastructure in which it requires to fund and support such technologies. And the issue with a lot of these types of new fuel vehicles is not everyone can afford them. And most of the people that need this technology the most are commercial vehicles or the working class. So by default, people are excluded from the transition just because of the economics. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the retrofit technology, what's available today, what the trends are, and what some of those incentives look like, and what's happening around the world where other people are adopting such technology. Again, some of the most common questions we hear or comments, we've seen these things before, those things don't work, you know, if it's so good, how come the car manufacturers aren't doing it? Well, those trends are changing, and we're going to be showing you that today. A little bit about our company. We started out in 2008 as a research incubator and consultant. We are now a manufacturer of green technology and other green-related products. We started out in the transportation arena, but we also have consumer products that are starting to make their way into the retail market. So it's a little bit about our brands, made in the USA, and we are large supporters of veteran causes. Part of our proceeds of all of our sales do go to help one of those causes, including World Green Energy Symposium. So the technologies we're focusing on today, the Smart Emissions Reducer, and our new technology, which is in development, Emissions Automotive Intelligence. What's nice about some of the retrofit technology, including Smart Emissions Reducer, is it already can be applied to vehicles on the ground, already existing, complementary to fuels, both diesel, propane, natural gas, and common gasoline. And we really focus on the engine, so the vehicle class or vehicle type doesn't really matter. So you're able to include more vehicle classes based on addressing engine size instead of being very vehicle specific. Different types of technology, sizes, again, all the way from an ATV or a long machine to a freight locomotive can be retrofitted with technology. Now, science behind it is pretty similar for our technology versus any other retrofit technology. The basis of these things is to get the best burn out of the fuel on the production side of the engine. Most people have this misconception that that you're trying to make the engine do something that it was not designed to do. And the actual science is we're actually using the waste byproduct, which is unburnt fuel. Only about 18% of the fuel actually makes it to the rear wheels when you transfer the power of that fuel. So you're only getting 18% of every dollar that you're putting into your gas tank as a benefit. So what if you could capture this on the production side of the engine, make those improvements both on efficiency and emissions? You wouldn't have to have these large concerns of emissions after the fact. Again, we're able to capture the emissions, and these emissions are nothing more than the unburnt fuel, which are large hydrocarbon chains. And when they mix with the byproduct of blow-by gases and the heavy oils, you now have a heavier, sludgier component that is now breaking down the engine. When you're able to use one of those retrofit type devices, you're now capturing that, reforming that hydrocarbon chain of those gases into a lighter, burnable material, changing a heavy hydrocarbon chain into hydrocarbon chains that would consist of propane, natural gas, and hydrogen. Those things burn at an accelerated rate much faster than just the surface of liquid fuel. So when you reintroduce those hydrocarbons that are reformed back into the air fuel stream, you now have a more efficient burn. So being able to do this on the production side of the engine will be able to not only save the general consumer who's trying to be environmentally friendly and get more out of their vehicle money, but it also saves the car manufacturers a significant amount of money on having to redesign their engine to be more efficient. Some of the credentials behind the technology. Most of these technologies in the past, in the retrofit market, did not take enough time to get their product vetted. It was always the inventor and the marketeer, and they always forgot about the business development side of it. Being able to get credentials, being able to parlay with public policy, and being able to team up and partner so that you could get the proper credentials against your technology so you could get rid of the naysayers. Again, being able to, our approach, we've been able to see anywhere from a 25 to 65% reduction in emissions in the lab and up to a 95% reduction in the field. The extra benefit, of course, is fuel economy. When you got a better burn of the fuel up front, you don't need as much to do the same job. So by default, you will have some sort of benefit of fuel economy. Universal design keeps your cost down, keeps the technology affordable for the masses. Being able to design your technology to address multiple fuels, again, makes your product advantageous. And of course, making it with quality allows you to have your product out there for multiple lifespan. Being able to recycle the product from one vehicle to another in the case where fleet vehicles retire early, and having less waste on the downside, and of course being able to offer and stand behind your product with a warranty. So getting there, what we found in the industry, we made the industry faults our advantages. First off, the true technical competence behind the product. Being able to have our own in-house expertise and work with consultants, work with schools of thought that could help vet our technology, doing multiple pilot programs that could prove the technology that could be duplicated, as well as being able to do multiple lab testing. Been able to show that there's a lot of technical competency behind the product. Be able to have a proper staff to service the product. Most of these products were only offered through the internet. So when you ordered a product and you didn't have someone referred to as a customer service that could assure that the product would be installed appropriately, you would not get the results desired. Therefore, the product would get a bad name. Hence, this thing didn't work. Where we only sell the product when we sell the technical aspect of the service with it. So you get both, assuring that the technology is going to work. Being able to get feedback from the auto industry and being able to make them our partner has been kind of helped us trend over the hump of what we've seen in the past, where a lot of these technologies would just die after 3 to 5 years in market. Marketing claims. This has probably been one of the things that have made people skeptical in the past about buying products in the energy efficiency business. And it's not just in the automotive business, it's also in lighting and what have you. Being able to give people the opportunity to pilot the technology and see what the results are going to be for themselves before they even buy the product has been a huge benefit. Basically, by the time that they're done with the pilot, the product's paid for itself. So they haven't lost any money. We've been able to demonstrate these trends with both municipal fleets, commercial fleets, and in the lab to be able to prove that the product works. Being able to give them a chance to do their own discovery. Because at the end of the day, your product might be great, but they still have to sell it to their peers and get the approval of either supervisors or executives or the fellow colleagues. So when they have a chance to vet it on their own without interference, you stand a greater chance of seeing your technologies rise. And of course, understanding some of the approach of the public policy measures and who has to pay the price at that of these enforcement actions by the end of the day. For instance, car manufacturers have CAFE and GHG standards in which they have to comply by, and if they don't, they are penalized. Well, we just solved a pain point, being able to provide a technology that will be able to get them closer to those standards. Commercial fleets where enforcement action forces older fleets to either retrofit their equipment with a technology that's going to get them to a mandated standard, or they have to buy new vehicles. We're able to help them identify their pain, go in and conduct some testing so that they can go back to those sanctioned bodies and prove that what they're doing is actually making a difference, that they're going to meet these standards, and they're doing it in a cost-effective manner that fits the need of that fleet, because every fleet is different. Every location of every fleet is different, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So what may work in California doesn't necessarily work in Washington, D.C., or Virginia, or Illinois, or Wisconsin, because they're all very different needs. So again, being able to deliver the 5-star service along with the technology, very important. We do not allow anyone to install the product on their own. We've hired our own technicians, send them now worldwide to be able to service the product. But we also have our own installation facility in which people can come get the technology installed, and we've began to partner up with car dealerships that also now offer the technology. Municipal fleets are a great place to start to get feedback, and government is not a large economic indicator, but they do help show trends of where successes are. And these are just some of the examples of some of the municipalities in which we have tested our product with that have had successes. Some of these municipalities were very skeptical, where green technology wasn't even on their radar. Again, where it was mentioned before, some people just don't believe that the savings is possible. So we were able to demonstrate that the savings were possible. We lent them the technology for 90 days. They were able to give us their feedback on their fuel economy data. We were able to give them the feedback through third-party testing on the emissions data. At the end of the day, they were able to double down and win on both sides, both the emissions and the greenhouse gas side, as well as the fuel economy and budget side. So some of these municipalities actually signed contracts to retrofit their fleet, and they were able to, instead of asking for new money in their budget, just allocate the savings from their future budget toward those expenditures. Commercial fleets, most commercial fleets, it's sad to say, in America, don't care about emissions. That's been the feedback. They basically feel that the vehicle they purchased came with the EPA certification, and why do they have to do anything different? So for most fleets in the private sector, it's all about the fuel economy, all about the gains of what's in it for them, what's that in the bottom line, how can their CFOs and fleet managers look good at the end of the day to the CEO and the board. So these are just some of the examples of some of the commercial fleets that have been able to institute retrofit technologies, specifically smart emissions reducer, and be able to receive those gains. Third-party testing in brief, most companies in our space do not do third-party testing. And that is where a lot of skepticism comes in place. So they don't properly brand themselves because they're not getting the outside expertise to verify what they're doing in the field. So we have tested with Roush Industries, which is the largest preferred lab in the U.S. for vehicle manufacturers testing their vehicle for EPA window sticker. Keshi Group, which is a vehicle manufacturer in China, and California Air Resources Board, or CARB, is another. That all these results and reports are available in their full review upon request. And so the return on investment, which most people are more worried about than the environment, unfortunately, you can see in the statistical margin of error, which was done by a professor from the University of California, that the ROI on this type of technology, at its very least, is about 1.5 years. Now, industry standard is that if you get an ROI in 2 years on a piece of green technology, that's a really good win. Using our minimum gain of 2.5% in fuel economy gives you 1.5 years return on investment. Most of the pilots that we have engaged with, and most of these commercial consumers, have seen a return on investment within 6 to 9 months. Again, some more general overview, a little bit from the Roush testing of Roush Industries, showing their